Hello and welcome to Southampton Vampire by Night's guide to the Mind's Eye Theatre rules. In this video, we'll be continuing to look at some of the fantastic new rules found within the brand new V2 rulebook. In this video, I'll be joined by Jason, one of the talented By Night Studios writers who has been working on the new V2 rulebook. After speaking with Jason regarding character ideas for our upcoming Larp system, he has agreed to help me make an investigation style character with a twist. My concept idea was I wanted a character who is skilled in tracking and taking down some of the nastier elements found within the vampire society. A character who could add some spice to the game and be played as either an antagonist or a helpful ally. So before we get started, let's get some introductions sorted. Jason, if you would like to introduce yourself, please.
Well, I'm Jason Herman, one of the lead developers at By Night Studios. I've been involved in the World of Darkness community for more than half my life, 20 years. Been storyteller off and on for a majority of that time. Started in college my freshman year, and I'm still here. We've got a lot of interesting and new material we'd like to present in our next issue. And with that, I'd like to introduce our other participant here, Mark.
Hi, everybody. I'm Mark White. I'm the project lead and managing director for Southampton Vampire by Night. I've been LARPing for 15 years, well, vampire LARPing for 15 years. A massive enthusiast and fan of the hobby, and really looking forward to experiencing some of these new rules that we're going to get to see today. So basically, I've come up with a semi-character concept for this. So I'm looking to make an investigator style character that it's got a slight edge to them. So I know we were talking about a twist, but it's a slight edge that would, what I'm looking to do is that like an NPC that the players could maybe call upon or utilize when they're doing an investigation. They kind of come to a blockage, a wall they can't pass. So they can call upon, this guy to come out and help them out. But with this kind of a twist to it, though, that let's say he's not the most. I don't know if anybody's seen a Dexter TV series, but basically he's got a dark past or something strange about them. So that, and also the fact though that I want this character to be able to handle themselves in a fight. So if they do track down their prey, that they're able to actually take them down as well. So that's the idea I'm going for this.
All right. Well, I mean, I think we have something that's going to very much interest you and completely take you by surprise here. So one of the things we're introducing is the ability to play Nagaraja as a player character. So it could also suit, obviously, this NPC. So the Nagaraja have historically been a misunderstood antagonist clan. They're kind of known as a bloodline of flesh eaters, and they have necromancy. But in our upcoming release, we want to scrape off some of their complicated backstory and their history and present a new take on them that makes them appealing to play as a PC and not just an evil NPC with lots of teeth. We keep their origin story pretty similar to the old canon material. They are a tradition of mages that were obsessed with death magic. Through these studies, they become accidentally infused with Jor, which is the potent energy of death itself. This, of course, gets them in trouble. They get kicked out of their mage tradition. They have to scatter around the world and find new allies. So they find a mysterious benefactor. And while we don't specifically name who this is, we do allude to it. So those people who are familiar with the dirty secrets behind the clan's origin and previous material, you'll recognize this stuff. We pay homage to it. So this benefactor recruits these mages against his enemies, the Setites. And in turn, they are gifted, cursed, they kind of happenstance into vampirism. From there, they get centuries of misinformation and hatred levied against them. The full write-up goes into this in much more detail, of course. But with this new spin, the Nagaraja are coming out of the shadows. What they want to do is they want to tell the truth about the lies that have been told about them, and they want to work towards an alliance with the other necromantic clans. Now, this is going to be tough, but a rewarding path for the players that choose to delve into this clan. In regards to their basic clan mechanics, the clan disadvantage is still the same. They still have to eat and consume actual flesh instead of blood for sustenance, which is going to prevent its own unique challenges when it comes to keeping the masquerade. Their in-clan disciplines are slightly different. They get Auspex, Dominate, and they start with Necromancy, the Ash Path, instead of Sepulchre.
Okay. When you said a twist, that's definitely a twist. Okay, so basically then I take it in the past the Nagaraja have always been utilized as the bad guys within the games and stuff like that. And now you've fleshed them out so we can use him as a playable character. That's
yeah. Typically, awesome. they're viewed as the guys with the big teethy maw and the secret necromancy powers that players can't get a hold of. You know, they operate from the shadows. You know, they're like all the other antagonists, they're probably labeled as Diablerists or killers and stuff like that. And we do have two different paths that you can kind of see take shape in their merits, which we'll get into later.
Okay, so they sound awesome. So what have they got that's going to help me with like the investigation and also to kind of, be able to take that target down? So what have they got, access to?
Okay, well, stepping back from the Nagaraja a little bit, let's talk about necromancy as a whole. So in the upcoming material, we've got 3 brand new necromancy paths. These have never been seen in any canon. They're wholesale developed by Jimmy and myself. The first one is called the Path of Grief, and this draws on the psyche's connection to death and uses necromantic energies to bring those emotions to the surface. So each one of the 5 powers within the Path of Grief focuses on one of the 5 stages of grief: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. So this path will be very popular for characters who are looking to become like advisors or negotiators. The second path is called the Path of Soul Bonding, which is a path that involves the creation of items called dark vessels and deathly devices. These are items which the necromancer has created by trapping a ghost inside of an everyday mundane item. And the wraith, while inside this item, enhances it in a variety of ways, possibly even breaking the normal equipment rules. The very top end power actually allows you to bind a wraith to yourself and gain some of the wraith powers while it's possessing you, while you maintain control of your corporeal form. And the power that I think is going to help your aspect of being able to get your hands dirty while you're doing this investigating stuff is the Path of the Graveborn, which is focused on the processes of death and decay. This path will appeal to those that have been looking for a more martial-oriented path of necromancy, which is something I think that's kind of been missing. Path of Mortis gets close to it, but this is a very Bruja-like necromancy path. And we'll be taking a look at that more in depth as we talk about your character. In addition to that, we've got over 40 new necromancy rituals. There are no clan-specific rituals, so all 40 of them can be taken by anybody that has access to necromancy.
Okay, that sounds awesome. Those paths sound very impressed. Okay, so you've basically given someone the option then to be, like you say, that kind of diplomancy in a kind of way. Oh, diplomancy. There we go. Another one for necromancy, the diplomancer. But you okay? So you've got that. You've got the you said about being like a Brouillard style, up in your face. Yeah. Okay. So that sounds awesome. Yeah, I love it. Absolutely love it. And the fact that you combined a wraith to you, I mean, that sounds yeah. Okay, that's going to be interesting. Okay. So it looks like then I've got access to some incredible paths, but that could probably even give a Tremere a run for their money from the sounds of things. But where I'm going to be playing this Nagaraja, is there anything that's available just for them?
Yeah, so let's talk about the Nagaraja clan merits and flaws. So as a uncommon independent bloodline, the Nagaraja have 6 new merits, 2 at each level. And within these merits, you have 2 distinct and broad archetypes, which I think they advance. What we like to refer to as the Necromancy Detective, and then we've got some merits that harken back to the Nagaraja of old, allows them to be more, creepy, antagonistic, and more physically inclined. So for the 1-point merit slot, we've got Necromantic Prowess and Lichborn. necromantic prowess is able to be purchased multiple times, and with each purchase, you gain access to an additional path of necromancy. So this is similar to the Giovanni and the Cappadocian merits. Lichborn, however, provides a whole suite of abilities that revolve around the Jor, the death energy that the Nagaraja consumed when they were mages. The first thing this does is your aura will always appear dead. Now, you could think that that sounds really bad, but it never gives, your aura never shows any of your emotions, never shows your creature type, and it even hides Diablerie stains. You literally don't have an aura. In addition, you can also purchase Path of Death in the Soul as a free Path of Enlightenment. And the last thing it does, and perhaps most important thing, is that you can eat flesh and it doesn't agitate your beast. So eating flesh would probably be a humanity check or a beast trait agitator. That if you take this merit, you don't have to worry about that. You can eat your flesh and don't have to worry about frenzying or walking around all night with beast traits.
Okay, that sounds absolutely awesome. The fact, just the fact of being able to hide Diablerie in itself opens up a vast array of possibilities for your character, and also with the humanity thing as well. Yes, that's something as well that could cause players some issues. So I think this is going to be one of those kind of merits, which is maybe a must-have unless you're unless you want to play it maybe on hard mode or something like that. But yeah, absolutely like it. Love it.
All right, so for the 2-point merit slot, we have 2 merits called Necrosynthesis and To Catch a Killer. Necrosynthesis allows you to always gain the focus benefit for any of your necromantic powers as long as they don't require an opposed challenge. So that's a really XP saving sort of merit. So because a lot of the different necromancy paths have different focus benefits, and it's hard while playing an uncommon clan to have something like versatile so you can hit more of those focus benefits. So this one kind of allows you to do that, as long as the necromancy power doesn't have an opposed challenge to it. Now, To Catch a Killer is the one that I think is key for your build. It basically allows the Nagaraja to show up to a murder scene, study it for a certain amount of time in a way that the necromancy powers can see things that a normal forensic scientist might not be able to see. They can then use that knowledge to track down the perpetrators of the crime. So it'll give them substantial bonuses to tracking from the scene of the crime. And it also unlocks a number of free dots to specific backgrounds, such as contacts and allies, as long as those contact and ally specializations are in the business, forensic scientists, crime lab guys, morticians, etc.
Okay. Yeah, the Catch a Killer sounds absolutely fantastic. That's going to be 100% perfect for the investigation build. So does this go past things like if someone's got streetwise points invested in that? Does this ability allow you to get bypass that?
It doesn't bypass it entirely, but it does give you bonuses and ways to get around that. You see things from a less straightforward point of view.
Awesome. Okay, no, that sounds brilliant and perfect for the character.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
So for the 3-point merits, we talked about how the Nagaraja's benefactor that basically gifted them vampirism was the enemy of the Setites. So we've got a 3-point merit slot called Favorite of Inahuatl, which basically gives you immunity to Path of Corruption and Serpentis. And it gives you immunity only to techniques and 1 through 5 dots of those disciplines. You get a bonus against elder powers, Serpentis elder powers that may require an opposed challenge. So that's that one. And then on the other side of things, we have the merit called Blight of the Everhungry. Now this is a character build around merit. It alters your starting disciplines. It instead gives you Auspex, Potence, and Path of the Graveborn as your inclans. This merit also gives you your Maw of razor-sharp piranha-like teeth that most people will remember from the original write-up of the Nagaraja. And these teeth actually have equipment qualities. And they can be used to bite your enemies without grappling them first. So this is that merit is also very important to the part of the aspect of your character where you want it to be good at holding your own. Because if this is going to be an NPC, he's got to be able to stand up to multiple characters coming at him at once. This is a very build around 3-point merit, and it kind of has to be. You're paying 2 for playing Nagaraja. This is 3, so that's 5 of your 7. But you could take both To Catch a Killer to get your tracking bonuses and this one and the 2 base for the Nagaraja. And I think we've got a good start to what you wanted to do with your character build. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, the one before though, when you're saying about the Setites, I mean, I don't know the full background behind the Nagaraja and that, but it sounds to me that's pretty. That sounds pretty awesome. In the fact that you can, and am I right in saying you said you were immune to the effect? So if a Setite wants to try and entrance you with their eyes or something like that, you'll be like, "I'm good, mate. Thank you very much. Moving on." Okay, so that's a merit definitely if you wanted to play that kind of character. That's awesome. Okay, yeah, I really like it. Okay, so pretty much then looks like we're going to be going with To Catch a Killer for covering the investigation side of stuff, and then Blight of the Ever Hungry for the Graveborn path, because it sounds like it's a perfect fit for the character build. Okay, and you're all right with us doing this?
Yeah. Let's talk about some flaws real quick. The Nagaraja, like all the other clans, have their own flaws. The first one is called Ritually Inept, which makes it hard for them to use ritual magic. So you only earn half as many rituals based on your necromancy as possible. So if you have 6 dots in necromancy, you only get 3 rituals as opposed to the normal 6. Awful Appetite, which is a little play on words, means that you must feed on a specific organ of the human body. So you could be a brain eater. You could have to eat the heart of your enemies, which is of course going to make it harder for you to feed. You can't just whittle some flesh off somebody. You have to go for a specific organ. And finally, Snake Charm is the complete opposite of Favorite of Inahuatan, where you are much more susceptible to the powers of the Setites. So you actually have a trait negative against Path of Corruption and Serpentis powers. Obviously, you can't take both of those at the same time.
Okay, those some really well. Let me just get my words out here. That they sound like some really interesting flaws that are going to add some good gameplay for the players, which is perfect, and some good character for them. I also like the fact that you've put like the opposite in there for the Setite one. So if you want to play someone who's, let's say, less immune to stuff and more susceptible to it, then yeah, perfect. Okay, awesome. So Graveborn. Tell me more about that. What's the Graveborn? What's all this about?
All right, so Graveborn is a new necromancy power that we've never seen before, and it's more of a combat-focused necromancy path that allows you to wield the powers of death and decay to your advantage. The first power is called Lord of the Flies. This allows you to temporarily summon up a swarm of creepy crawly insects and carrion bugs, and it makes it harder for your enemies to affect you from range. When you have the focus for this power, you can actually extend this power to your zombie allies. And this is a theme that we have in Path of the Graveborn. If you also have Path of Bones, which allows you to summon zombies, you're going to get a lot of synergy with these 2 paths working together, because many of the focus effects of Path of Graveborn allows you to take the alteration that you have for yourself and give it in some way to your zombie allies. So along the way, if your character spends a long time in the game and is gaining XP, Path of Bones and Path of Graveborn will work very well together.
Okay, so all right, so basically what you're saying is that you're summoning those flies and it makes it harder for people to target you with ranged weapons. Does it do anything at all for if you're in melee, or is it solely for at range?
No, it's solely for at range.
Okay.
Once you're in melee, it's basically you're wielding your sword. You can see the target. The bugs aren't really, they're a nuisance to you and perhaps disgusting to you, but once you're in melee, they're more of a nuisance rather than an actual safety measure.
Brilliant. But it does allow you then to close the gap between you and your target. Okay, that's awesome. Does that, sorry if I'm asking too many questions here, but does it also affect if someone is trying to gain line of sight with you to use, let's say, social or mental disciplines upon you? Does it affect them, or is it only for ranged weaponry?
It's for ranged weaponry and attacks that require you to be able to see your target.
Okay.
You can still draw gaze and focus, and generally where that person is. But specifically, it's against throwing a fireball or being shot with guns and stuff like that.
Brilliant. Okay, fantastic, cool. Okay, that sounds good.
All right, so the second one is called Death's Scythe. Death's Scythe, and exactly what it sounds like. You can summon an ethereal scythe sheathed in creepy and cold blue flame. Now, you can never be disarmed from this weapon. It does aggravated damage, and it's unbreakable no matter how strong you are, because it's magical. It's not a mundane weapon that you pull out of like a shadow pocket. It's actually death energy solidified into this magical scythe. And when you are focused, it actually gains reach. And while zombies are around you, they gain the ability to do aggravated damage with their melee with their brawl attacks. So it emanates this death magic to any zombies that you have around you.
Oh wow. Okay. Originally, I was thinking, okay, cool. So they've got like wolf claws or burning wrath or something like that. And then no, you can put it on your zombie minions as well. So that can get messy really quick for someone who's engaged in a fight with you. So yeah, okay, that does sound very impressive.
Obviously, also a very big breach of the masquerade is you have a giant blue flaming scythe.
Yeah, don't worry about that. That's fine. Awesome.
All right, turning it down a little bit for the third power, we've got Reaper's Due. And so Reaper's Due is you target an enemy, and whenever they spend willpower in your presence, you actually get stronger. So if I've targeted you with this power and you try to spend willpower to resist my abilities, I actually get a trait bonus every time you spend a willpower. And if I'm focused, I can actually take that willpower from you. If I've spent willpower and I'm down willpower, by you spending willpower, I can refresh my own. Now, this only works on one target, and it does require you to gesture in their direction so that they know that they've been affected by this power. So they do have some choices. They will kind of know that their spending willpower is going to strengthen you.
Wow, that's a taunt and a half, because you could use, let's say, for a role play purpose or something like that, when you're about to engage with your target, you can call them out. You can point in their direction, do that ability, and say you're mine or whatever it is, and then make the move on them. And they know now that, okay, so that's it. It's down. Retesting is not the way forwards. Willpower is not the way forwards, because I'm just going to strengthen my adversary. Okay, so that's a really cool ability. I like that.
Also, a perfect place to work in is your sort of like one-liner catchphrase as a detective.
Yeah.
When you target your enemies.
Like it. Cool.
All right, the fourth dot is called Corpulent Discharge, and it is as revolting as it sounds. When people attack you in hand-to-hand combat, the wounds that they open spew forth necrotic goo that hits them and does damage. So, like, if you're attacked by a gangrel with wolf claws and they tear open your chest, you're going to actually have this necroplasm come out and get on them, and it burns them and does aggravated damage. And if you're focused, this effect will transfer into your zombies so that when your zombies die, they actually explode. Now, the damage that your zombies do when they explode doesn't care about friend or foe. So you might want to tell anybody that you're working with not to be too near your zombie friends when they're about to go down, because then they're going to be covered in this goo that's going to do damage to them.
Wow. Okay. So first of all, my opponent is going to be a little bit shy using their willpower, and now they're going to be even shyer trying to hit me back because they know they're going to hurt themselves every time they hurt me. And the ally thing, don't worry about the allies. They'll be fine. And the fact that you know what I mean, you've got all these hulking, walking zombies knocking around as well that can explode in their face. Okay, I can definitely see how the Graveborn path is lining up to be a pretty worthy adversary. You know what I mean, if you've got it. Okay, so what's top? What's the top power of this?
Well, the top power is called Death Perfected, and this is the transformative power of the discipline set. So after you activate this, you basically turn into a single-minded death machine. You can think of it not necessarily just a zombie king where you're a mindless, brains and walking around like that. You are the physical embodiment of death and entropy. And what this does is it allows you to use your physical attributes instead of your mental and social attributes when defending against mental and social powers. In addition, whenever you spend a willpower to retest, it heals you.
Okay. So brilliant. That sounds okay. So one, then, whenever, first of all, I'm not going to worry about spending my willpower too much, because if I've got it focused, siphon it off of my opponent anyway. That's now going to be healing me. I've swapped my mental and social, which means if I am playing a character that is investigation based and stuff like that, I can now just use the physical for all of that stuff. You know, for defending. And okay, so yeah, that sounds absolutely fantastic. Yeah.
Oh, and the healing is normal or aggravated. So whenever you spend a willpower to retest, you can heal a slight bit of normal or aggravated damage. And if you have the focus benefit to this power, you get a wild card bonus to the retest after you spend a willpower. So if you say spend a willpower to retest against somebody's offensive attack, when you spend the willpower, your next challenge for the retest will have a trait bonus.
Okay.
Because you're the living embodiment of death.
Yeah.
Dominated away or dread gazed or convinced to, go the other way or anything like that.
Yeah. Okay, so just to clarify up to this point then. So I've managed to track down my target using Catch the Killer. So I've got them in my sights. Their range attacks are standing a more chance of missing me now because I've got bugs flying all around me. I've taunted them with my epic quote or something, which means now spending willpower could be a bad option. I'm doing aggravated damage, and all of my minions are as well. I'm then an embodiment of death, and also if they decide to hit me back, they're going to take damage. Yeah, I'm pretty sure as far as Investigator goes, this is the kind of one that I don't want to meet. So I'm very happy with that. So, okay. So I think the path is absolutely fantastic. Now, I have come across some Trixie Tremere in the past that have rituals that always seem to get them out of dodge or anything like that. So is there any rituals that are, that are suited to this path or to this build, this theme that I'm building?
I think we've got 3 rituals that we'd like to share with you that fit multiple different areas that you've discussed in your background. I wouldn't say necessarily they work specifically with Path of the Graveborn, but I think they'd be particularly useful for a character like the one that you're trying to build.
Awesome.
So the first one is called Grave Robber's Boon. And this is particularly useful when you advance your Path of the Bones, like we discussed. After casting this ritual, it lets you know of any dead bodies within a 100-yard radius and the general sense of value of the things that they were buried with. So if you need some new money for that new hearse or your new cop car or whatever you're looking to buy, you can find where all the rich people are buried, with their gold bullion, etc. And exhume them, get their stuff, and then possibly maybe use their bodies to be part of your zombie army.
Yeah. Okay. So, and I take it with that though as well, that let's say there is somebody who's tried to hide a body from me, tried to, bury some incriminating evidence or something like that, thinking they've got away with it. I take it this ritual would let me find those.
Yep. It'll definitely make it easier to find, if you're out in the middle of nowhere where, you don't have a graveyard, perhaps somebody has taken a body out to the desert to be buried, you can go wander around the desert and find out where all those bodies are buried. Probably maybe not a best place to do that, out in the Vegas deserts where, all those bodies are buried. But yeah, you can find all of the bodies within a 100-yard radius. You can cast this again. Once you do one search pattern, you move along and recast the ritual.
Wow.
Very useful.
Okay. I'm also thinking I'm going to have to put some really expensive gold rings or something on all of my ghouls, just in case
Right.
They go missing. I can find out exactly where they are.
That's a very interesting thing. If you buy something that that is very expensive and then you put it with somebody, that could be a way to track where you've put your bodies as opposed to somebody else.
Very good. Like it. Okay. So that's a cool ritual. Okay.
So the second one is called Karen's Obol, and this one will be particularly useful for a Nagaraja that doesn't take the Blade of the Everhungry Merit and has a Path of Ash. So what it allows you to do is craft these small enchanted coins, and when you give them to your allies, they can actually accompany you when you use Ex Nihilo to traverse the Shadowlands. Normally, you can't bring friends with you into the Shadowlands with Ex Nihilo. This ritual enhances that power by giving your friends a coin, which they have to put in their mouth, and they can then walk through the gateway into the Shadowlands with you. Now, if they lose that coin or take it out of their mouth or anything like that, or it's destroyed, they get ejected back into the real world, in the general area of where they were.
Okay, so that's we got to get out of here, guys. Kind of take these, put them in your mouth. Let's go. Okay, brilliant. That sounds awesome. Is it is it a ritual that takes quite a while to cast on that one, or is it one that's quite quick?
That is a level 2, I believe. So while it takes 10 minutes to cast, you can cast. The casting is to create the coins. So once you create the coins, you can hand those out. And you can only have so many of those coins based on your occult skill. And if somebody runs off with one, you can cast the ritual again to nullify that one that you've lost track of.
Wow.
But yeah, you do the ritual, you create the coins, and then you can hand the coins out to people. It's not like you have to manage to get this off in the middle of combat to be able to use ex nihilo to get away.
So in theory, then I could track somebody down, take them out, if I had some allies with me or something like that, and then no matter where it was, let's say we've gone right into enemy territory, we can then don't have to worry about getting out again. We can just all put the coins, or they put their coins in the mouth, and we're out of there.
Yep.
Okay, that sounds good.
And then the last ritual we have is called Body and Soul. And this lets you take a wraith and a zombie and put them together. So we talked about how the one power before where you can have a wraith possess you. You can actually have a wraith possess one of your zombie allies. And so the resulting amalgamation is basically that you have all the physical qualities of a zombie, including any of the buffs you may have put on it from Path of the Graveborn.
Okay.
And the mental and social powers of a wraith. So, all wraiths have the first 2 levels of demutation. So you now got these 2 things merged together into sort of like this super ally. And it's going to take a little bit of setup because you have to have a wraith, you have to have a zombie, you have to have this ritual. So it's not like you're going to have an army of these things running around, but it does substantially enhance, if you're a Giovanni that has the Wraithly Retainer and Path of Bones, you've got your wraith, you've got your zombie, you merge them together and it creates sort of like a super friend.
Okay, so I don't know what to say to that other than that if I was encountering that thing in the first place, meeting a zombie, meeting a wraith, they're already tough encounters as it is, let alone meeting something that's got the combined powers of both. And then being buffed by this individual who could maybe give them aggravated damage, exploding. Okay, so yeah, we've got ourselves a pretty nice guard stroke boss encounter stroke. Yeah, you guys deal with that whilst I just sit over here prepping, getting ready to take you on afterwards whilst your week. Brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. Love the ritual. Wow. Okay, so you've blown my mind. That I wanted to make an investigation character that could, do some investigation stuff and also hold their own. I think what you've actually allowed me to create with these new rules is something that is just going to be unstoppable. So that is absolutely fantastic. So we've got new paths, new rituals, new merit, new flaws, new bloodline. Wow. Yeah, thank you so much for today. I've really enjoyed this. You've blown my mind in all of these, basically the creation of this character, but the options that are now available to everybody else to make new characters from this as well. So yeah, thank you so much for this today. And
yeah, I'm glad for the opportunity to breathe more life into our hobby that we all love. I think this preview has shown a great many new things that players weren't expecting or have a great time exploring and putting on their characters. Might not be as fun for those people that they're up against, but there's something for everybody coming out in our books.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Thanks again for that. Brilliant. Cheers. All right, mate.
Thank you for having me.
Cheers. Bye.
Thank you for watching this video. I hope you're just as excited as me to see what else can be found within the upcoming V2 rulebook. If you've enjoyed this video and would like to see this channel grow, then please don't hesitate to like, subscribe and comment below. Oh, and of course, become a member of our Patreon page. Thank you. I'll see you all again soon.